I'm 2 Thessalonians the last few weeks on a little project working with some other preachers. But 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse number 10. Verse 1 through 9 talks about end times. And talks about the coming of the Antichrist, falling away, man of sin being revealed, the restrainer being taken out of the way, and then the man of sin, which we believe is the Antichrist, that wicked one in verse number 8. Verse number 9, his coming is after the working of Satan, Satan's man. Verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. It's been on my heart for a little bit to preach a few sermons on current events, current trends. I know you can't go to seed on that where you're just preaching newspaper exegesis. I understand that. Better just preach the Bible. And tonight I'll say some things that it's my opinion. I believe it's right opinion, but it is my opinion. I believe that our nation is on a slippery slope to hell. It's been corrupt for a long time. I think that we're at the rotten stage. I believe that the last 6 years have been the most damaging 6 years in my lifetime for just the structure and the foundation of America. It's not a political message, but I believe that our president has done everything in his power, regardless of the law, to fundamentally transform America into a socialist, Marxist, Islamic country. And if you're counting on a Republican in 2 years to get us out of the mess, then you've had your head in the sand for a long time. That's just where I believe we are. I think that the thinking of the world, and especially our country out there, is absolutely maddening. That's what it is. I copied this. I won't tell you any of the websites I follow because that's not what this is about. Several years ago, they passed this bill, Obamacare, and nobody could see what was in it until they passed it. You may have heard of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement, and boy, they're pushing hard to push this thing. The only problem is it's a secret trade agreement. Members of Congress are unable to discuss the contents of the bill. Anyone invited to discussions of the bill must leave cell phones and staff members behind. So they're getting ready to pass this Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, kind of like a trade partnership with other countries. And you got to wonder why is it so secret? Do you trust anybody in Washington to do anything secretly? Well, I don't. Reports have already surfaced that the top secret draft contains a whole chapter with a European-style provision allowing unlimited migration into the United States and full implementation of the anti-gun UN Arms Trade Treaty. Politico, if you want to hear the details of the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal the Obama administration is hoping to pass, you've got to be a member of Congress. You've got to go to classified briefings, leave your staff and cell phone at the door. If you want to read the text, you've got to go to a room in the basement of the Capitol Visitor Center. Be handed one section at a time, watched over as you read, forced to hand over any notes you make before leaving. You cannot discuss the details of what you've read. You have to pass it to find out what's in it. Do you believe that our president would cede the sovereignty of our nation to the United Nations? I believe he would. And That scares me. I got an article or two you can read if you want to, or you can go on and find them like I have. The thinking of our country is absolutely insane. In fact, I'll name 4 issues tonight. I'll name 4 issues, and I will tell you that the majority of America's thinking on this is strong delusion. Same-sex marriage. Now, how can a person, and I may preach on this next Sunday morning, how can a person possibly think that same-sex marriage is a good thing for America? How can you possibly think that? The ones who are pushing it are not pushing it because they think it's a good thing for America. They're pushing it because they believe it'll destroy America as it is. Let me tell you, that's strong delusion. Strong delusion. Global warming. It's not scientific. There is no evidence for it. Global warming is a scam that is designed to fleece rich countries and give the money to poor countries. Everybody knows that it's a lie, but they will not let the lie die. You have to be a blooming idiot to think that we're going to change the course of the climate. All right? Illegal immigration. I believe that the president and his men have illegally opened the door to thousands of illegals, and that they are working to get them on the voting rolls. And there is no move to protect the borders. It is by design. In 2013, Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, in 2013, they released over 36,000 convicted illegal aliens back onto the streets in 2013. In 2014, they released another 30,000 criminal illegal aliens. And every Democrat and Republican in Washington that thinks that amnesty is good for this country is insane. Racial tension. In my lifetime, now I was born in 69, so I didn't come through the 1960s and the Civil Rights Act and all of that, but in my lifetime, I have never seen the racial tension so sharp and so divisive in America than ever before. And I believe that the Justice Department wants race riots. There is a concerted effort to demonize the police, because what you got to do is you got to create a crisis, then you can fix the crisis, nationalize the police force. Who thinks that would be a good idea? Huh? The average black man, the average white man don't have a problem with each other until you get the government involved, stirring things up. I've got a Christian white guy lives on one side of me, and a heathen black man lives on the other side of me. I get along better with a heathen black man than I do with a Christian white guy. It's by design. That's what it is. Now, if you listen to news and commentaries, their thinking on just those issues is pure lunacy. The liberal mind is illogical. It is dark, it is deceived, and the phrase that describes the thinking in this country is found in verse number 11, strong delusion. Strong delusion. Dad was telling me yesterday, you go to a ball game, they have what's called the kiss cam. Everybody know what the kiss cam is? During halftime or whatever, the camera will scan the crowd and it'll focus in on two people, and when they see themselves on the Jumbotron, they kiss. 10 years, in 2000, I think 2001, Los Angeles Dodgers, this day 2001, I believe it's what it was, the kiss cam focused in on two lesbians, and they kissed. And the crowd booed. And the lesbians sued. And so the Dodgers ended up giving them box office seats right behind home plate and donated 5,000 tickets to the lesbians engaged to kind of sue them over. They just did it again. I think last week or just recently they did it again, and this time they focused on two homosexual men. And they kissed. And the crowd cheered. That's a stadium of deluded people. they've lost their mind to think that homosexuality is a good thing. Now, every once in a while you'll read something in the Bible and you say, well, that sounds like America. Now, America's not in the Bible. When you study Bible prophecy, I don't find America there, but the spirit of America is foretold. And when we read about the spirit of this age, we have to say, boy, that sounds exactly like strong delusion. 2 Thessalonians 2 tells us about a time when the world is going to fall for the biggest deception in history, and that's when they embrace the Antichrist. He's going to come on the scene with counterfeit miracles, and the whole world is going to worship Him as God. But how? How can intelligent people believe such a blatant lie that is so obviously satanic? We're not talking about brain-damaged people. But Jim, we're talking about intelligent, educated, sophisticated, accomplished people that will believe the biggest lie ever told. So I'm going to tell you, deception's a powerful thing. You think of the billions of people that are deceived by false religion. And you couldn't convince them of the truth because they've been turned over to strong delusion. Deception can make people believe things and do things that normal people would not believe and normal people would not do. There's more people in the world that believe in evolution than there is who believe in creation. That's strong delusion. There's more people who believe in Allah than believe in Jesus Christ. Huh? That's strong delusion. And don't tell me that it doesn't matter what a person believes as long as they're sincere. No, it does matter what they believe, because what a person believes affects what he does. When that young man is told that if he'll be a murderer, that he'll go to paradise where there's 72 virgins, how else are you going to get him to strap a bomb on himself and blow himself up? He's sincere. He sincerely wants to meet them 72 virgins, and that's why he does what he does. He's been turned over to strong delusion. I think that what we see in our world today is setting us up for the Antichrist. It's setting the stage. People believe every lie, and it's conditioning them to believe the lie, the biggest lie. Now look, if you would, in verse number 12. Look at 3 steps in here. Verse 12, there's satanic deception. Verse 12, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth. They believed not the truth about God, the truth about man needing a Savior, the truth about sin, the truth about Christ dying on the cross, the truth about Christ paying the penalty from our sin. Did you know that most of the people that drive by this church tonight while we're in here don't believe a tenth of what you believe? If they come in here and sit and listen to me preach, especially tonight, they would think I was an idiot. Because they do not believe what we are preaching, and they will go all their life without a serious thought about God unless some soul winner forces them to think about God. You know why they don't? I'll tell you why. That they believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Made a conscious choice, sin or Jesus, and they choose sin. There is something tantalizing about sin. There is something luring. There is something captivating. There is something entrapping about sin. Men will risk their very life to get at sin. Men will ruin themselves financially. Men will destroy their marriages. Men will destroy their health, knowing they're destroying their health with booze and alcohol and tobacco and all the rest of it, and knowing that they're throwing their future away at the casino, and knowing that affair is going to destroy their whole marriage. They'll throw everything away just for sin. Let me tell you, and don't think they're not having a good time with it. The pleasures of sin, they're having a good time. That's why they keep doing it. If there was no pleasure in sin, nobody would do it. But because it's pleasurable, they keep doing it. In fact, I see some Christians that have been saved from sin, they look so miserable at church. I sometimes wonder if they wouldn't have more fun back at the casino. They wouldn't have a better time back at the bar, back at the whorehouse. They're an advertisement for the misery of being saved. You'll get to go to heaven, but you'll be miserable while you go there. Yeah. Not to believe the truth is intellectual. To enjoy the pleasure of unrighteousness is moral. And intellectual and moral often go hand in hand. And many people have an intellectual problem with God because they have a moral problem with God. It's important what you believe because it will influence how you live. Hey, it's real hard to live a lifestyle of sin with a strong conscience. I'm telling you, it's hard. With a sense of responsibility and a sense of accountability and an awareness of God. And God put all of those things in your heart, the written law of the heart, to steer man toward God and away from sin. So here's what man has to do. I got to get rid of all that stuff. That conscience, that law, that authority, that book, that preacher, that church, those rules, that home. It's cramping my sinning is what it's doing. And so man knows he has to get away with the absolutes of the law. I got to get rid of the authority of God's Word. And even if I have to get rid of the existence of God Himself, Romans 1 talks about when men forget God. They don't forget God because there ain't enough evidence for God. They forget God because they want to sin without God. They believe not the truth. They love not the truth because they have pleasure in unrighteousness. Look at verse 10. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. You know, the devil and God have two different agendas. God's agenda is for you to be saved. The devil's agenda is for you to be lost. God to have every one of you to go to heaven. The devil to have every one of you to go to hell. God's command to the church is to get the gospel to the world because that's how men will be saved. Satan will do everything that he can to thwart that. Have fellowships, have picnics, do everything, but preach the gospel, take a stand for truth, and send missionaries to the world because he don't want to see anybody get saved. Because they receive not the love of the truth. Men don't love truth. And you have to love truth if you're going to be saved. I preached John 3:16 this morning. Agree with everything I said this morning. Every bit of it. And most of us love that truth. But if you're sitting here tonight and you don't love that truth, it won't mean anything to you. And you won't trust Jesus. And the greatest battle going on right now is not with ISIS, but the greatest battle is going on in the minds of men, keeping them from loving the truth. He says in verse number 10, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness. Now verse 10 takes you back to verse 8 and 9, talked about the Antichrist coming with power and signs. Now look at verse number 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. By the way, just in case you're here, when the man of sin comes on the scene and he starts performing all those miracles, I want you to know that they're lying wonders. Okay? In case you are around, and it'll be bad news for you if you are, but if you are, I want you to know when you start seeing those things on CNN, they are lying wonders. He will have a solution for every problem. He will be a miracle worker, and the world will fall for it, and the world will perish because they are deceived by unrighteousness, and they will not love the truth, and they won't be saved. When you turn away from the truth, you open yourself up to the deception of Satan. And that's why our world's going to start crazy. The answer is not a politician. The answer is a preacher with a Bible. This is opinion right here. I believe when a person gets saved, he won't be a liberal anymore. No, it's just opinion, because there's too much truth that his mind is opened up to. Amen. They love sin rather than Jesus. They don't love truth. They're deceived by their own sin. That's how Satan works it. Satanic deception. There's a second stage in here. It's in verse 11. That's strong delusion. And for this cause, because they love not the truth, because they're deceived by unrighteousness, for this cause God will send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Now you read those verses right there, and I'm going to tell you that sounds like America. Verse 11 is America. I'm not trying to be discouraging to you, all right? It's not a gloom and doom. We'll have some hope here in a minute, okay? But we got to take the medicine first, all right? And you know this is where we're at, right? This is where we're at, all right? This is America in 2050. This world is under strong delusion, and it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger until Antichrist comes. You know, in the 1950s, we were a moral nation. We weren't Christian, but we were a moral nation. People went to church and they lived clean lives. They were hard working. They were decent and they respected Christianity. Brother Todd Granger and I was talking before the service, talking about older generation. It was just a respectable, clean, decent, moral, chaste, Christianized country. Well, not now. I mean, we've been corrupted by Hollywood and rock music and the sexual revolution and free love and all the rest of that. Now, just on a practical level, not doctrinal, but on a practical level, in the 1950s, the way that America was, it'd be hard to see how they would accept the lie of Antichrist. I know the rapture could have come then, all right? I understand that, all right? It could take place anytime, and the world would have been ready for the Antichrist, but it doesn't seem like in the 1950s that the stage was set. But can you see how the world now is so deceived and so delusional about God and morality and sin? Can you see how they'd worship the Antichrist right now? I'm just telling you, things are coming to a head. That's what's happening, all right? You don't have forever, all right? And by the way, the Bible says in verse 11 that God shall send them strong delusion. There's a teaching on deadlines, God deadlines. And it says that a man can cross deadlines, and only God knows where those deadlines are. You cross deadlines with God and you can't go back. Right? I believe that a man can reject Christ to the point, and I don't know where the point is, but God no longer deals with that man. You said no, you said no, you said no, you said no, you said no. Holy Spirit says okay. The Holy Spirit just leaves you alone. Now I'm going to tell you something. You know enough Bible to know that the Holy Spirit don't ever convict you about sin. You're not getting saved. And I believe man can get to the point, I don't know where that's at. I don't know that anybody here is that way. I don't know. But I believe you can get to the point where you become reprobate. One of the judgments of God, He give you what you ask for. You young people, you better be careful what you ask God for. You keep begging, you keep begging, you keep begging. He's liable to give it to you. And this country has so much truth preached in it that has been rejected. And one day God's going to say, all right. You want lies? I'll let you have lies. Here's the Antichrist. Strong delusion. Verse 12 talks about sure damnation. That they all might be damned who believed not the truth but had pleasure in deception, delusions, damnation. You make a conscious decision to love sin instead of Jesus. You open yourself up to the rejection of truth that leads to strong delusion. And when you get under strong delusion, you're sitting there just waiting for judgment's what you're waiting for. And that's where America's at tonight. That's where a lot of churches are at. I think there's a lot of young people sitting there tonight. We're already seeing the judgment of God fall on America. It's because our country has fallen for satanic deception. It has fallen for strong delusion. Again, I'm not trying to be political. And if you disagree with my political opinions, then you have your own. How does a country elect Barack Obama twice? Okay. How does a country accept same-sex marriage and global warming? I'll tell you how. It's under strong delusion, just waiting for sure damnation. We've had young people come up in this church and they've heard more truth preached. But they also love contemporary music. And Hollywood and movies and carnal friends. And it don't matter how many preachers you bring to this pulpit, they never really had a love for truth. Bottom line. Didn't love it. They were lovers of pleasure more than they were lovers of righteousness. You young people listening, you just come back from New Manna. If you love righteousness, everybody will be able to tell. And if you don't, everybody will be able to tell. Let me see your iPod tonight. Let me look at your music list. I'll tell you whether you love righteousness or not. Let me see your friend list on social media. And I'll tell you whether you really love righteousness or not. I'll just hang out in the foyer and look at who you hang out with. And I'll tell whether you are we okay tonight? I'll tell you whether you are a lover. And the truth about it is we get kids grow up in these churches, and the bottom line is they don't love. They love the game. If you want to do righteous, you do righteous. You can. I don't even have to preach on it. You already know what's unrighteous in your life. Right? Do I have to name 37 sins to see if I get yours? You already know what it is. Right now, you know what is in your life that is not righteous. And if you love righteousness, then get on the altar and confess it, repent it, get it right, and don't do it again. If you love righteousness. But because you don't love the truth, you're going to fall under satanic deception. You're going to turn 21, you're going to quit church because you don't love it. You're going to go to a charismatic, non-denominational church with a friend where they have a rock concert and it's cooler and the preacher don't scream and holler. And you're going to become that. You're going to go off to college and have a roommate that's a Catholic, and you're going to marry a boy that's a Catholic, and you're going to start practicing another religion. Because you're not a lover of truth. You're not a lover of righteousness. And you're going to get to the point. Now listen to me. Where you will be under strong delusion. And no preacher will ever reach you. You see, right now you argue with in your mind. Because all you have is just truth, because you know the truth. But strong delusion comes is when you believe the lie is the truth and you no longer struggle with it in your mind. Now you say, I don't like that. I'm not going to live that way. One day you'll say, I don't even believe that anymore. Somebody was telling me the other day, I don't even know who it was, some boy that was on Facebook and arguing about homosexuality or something like that. It was arguing about homosexuality, some boy. And I think a bunch of y'all teenagers were on there straightening him out. And he used to go to a Christian school. And for one thing, let me help you tonight. I don't even know who all it was, okay? I didn't read it. I don't care. But to argue with a fool on Facebook, probably not the wisest thing you've ever done. Okay? You probably didn't win the argument. Okay? Answer not a fool according to his folly. Okay? All right? He'll cheer when the Supreme Court passes same-sex marriage because he loved not the truth. And now he can't recognize the truth. And one day Antichrist is going to show up. He'll fall and worship at his feet. And he'll gladly take the mark of the beast. And one day he'll be cast into hell with every other hater of truth. Satanic deception, strong delusion, sure damnation. You love the truth? Do you love righteousness? Or is it those pleasures of sin that you're after? Huh? This is the progression. It's the progression. Well, that's negative, isn't it? I'll preach on the love of Jesus again, huh? There's got to be some hope. There has to be some solution to the problem. Where do we go from here? Do we just bury our head in the sand and pretend like nothing is happening? And you don't find that anywhere in the Bible, do you? There's some independent Baptist churches the last couple of weeks. Brother Danny Farley, I think, spearheaded this up. They started a little petition, a prayer petition, trying to get 50,000 Christians in America that fast and pray for a week for America and for our churches. This week, there's I don't know how many churches that are meeting every week, every night, and some are having Saturday prayer meetings and individuals committing to pray. Because I'll tell you that the hope for America is in churches just like this. That's where it's at. What do you pray for? The preservation of our freedoms. What are you going to do when it's illegal to carry an arm? What you going to do? When you can't carry a gun anymore, what do you do? Canadians here tonight, what do you do tonight when, like Canada, illegal to preach against homosexuality? What do you do? What do you do? In order for them to transform America, they got to get rid of you. They got to silence you is what they got to do. We stand in the way. They know that. Preservation of freedom, because those freedoms enable us to preach the gospel. Pray for God to continue to bless the finances so we can support missions and send missionaries around the world. God to bless your job. Help you to make money so you can come in and put money in. Send Jim Shires to Paraguay. John Gillespie sitting back here. We need churches that are militant. I'll tell you what's happened. We've lost our masculinity in our churches. We've become feminine. We don't have to be arrogant and rude, but militancy. Militancy. That's what we believe. That's right. Not changing. Not changing. Prayer for souls to be saved. Christians to be strengthened. Families to raise up godly children. For God to get a hold of the hearts of this younger generation. And determine that I will be a lover of truth and a lover of righteousness. You can make an emotional decision at that altar every week. I'm not interested in the emotions. What you going to change? What visible thing are you going to say in my life is unrighteous? And I'm not going that way anymore. That's what we've got to have. That's the hope of America. I'll give you a challenge tonight. And I didn't announce this ahead of time because I wasn't sure exactly how to do it. I'll give you a challenge for our church. There's a lot of Baptist churches around the country that's doing different things. I challenge you tonight for every member of our church this week, every day to get on your knees and pray. God, preserve the freedoms of our country. Guide our country for the sake of the gospel. Not the sake of your 401k, but for the sake of the gospel, and to be able to have liberty to preach in this pulpit and to send missionaries around the world. Touch this church. Touch my family. God help us. Every day for 1 week. I challenge you to take one day this week and fast. Here's what happens when you fast. You get hungry. And the hunger is not to make you think about food. It's to give you an awareness of why you're fasting. I'll fast tomorrow. In my fast day. Okay? Pray every day. Fast. Once this week. And then here's what we're going to do, and this is up to you. Tomorrow night we have Bible Institute graduation. 7 o'clock takes up the evening. But Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, we're going to meet here at the church to pray. Now, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see every member of our church come at least one night besides Wednesday night. Wednesday night's going to be prayer meeting. I may preach Wednesday night. I got 2 sermons I want to preach, and then I got to go out of town for a little bit. And I may preach Wednesday night, or we may just spend the whole hour in prayer. But Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be here. I know some of you live 40 miles away in West Pensacola. You can't get here every night. I know. I ain't give you no notice. But at least one night this week, I'd like to see every member, every family come here. And we're just going to spend time. We're not going to sing, not going to preach. But we're going to pray. You believe we need the power of God on this church? Yes, we need the power of God. You think we need God to do something for this country? Well, we need God to raise up some men to lead us, to guide us, some men with some conviction. Our families tonight need the power of God. Needs the touch of God tonight. You got kids tonight. You got kids tonight that's fallen right there in verse 10, 11, and 12. And somebody's going to have some power to shake them to the core. You believe that tonight? So here's the challenge. Every day praying. Every day. Fast one day a week. One day a week. Come meet with me and pray. 7 o'clock every night. Every night, right here. Monday night, Bible Institute graduation. But Tuesday night, the rest of the week, we're going to pray. Other churches around the country praying. I don't know of another answer. I don't know of another solution. It's not Washington. It's God that's got to step in this thing.